This
of 2
conference will
units.
now be recorded.
Okay, we will have 2 units covered today, 2 small units, very important units, and sure questions units from this point. Of course, the question paper pattern is that all units will come, but relatively this unit will have simpler questions. That's why it's easier to answer, right? Precisely, I can say that what is cybercrime? How do you differentiate computer crime and cybercrime? A comparative study, which I have given in the notes. You have the notes already, right? And the second question, short answer question, what is the difference between worm and a virus, right? And then another question that is possible, what are the roles played by the computer in the crime scene? So in how many ways computer can be used in a crime scene? That is one important question, long answer question, right? How to respond to the incident? What is an incident? Here some event occurs or someone reports that their computer is behaving peculiarly and data is getting modified on its own. That becomes an incident. For that incident, what is the response methodology? The cyber forensics expert or forensic expert, computer forensic expert is no less than a police here, right? So what is the approach to be done? And then what are the activities that are done in the initial response? And then another in the when we go to the second unit, we talk about initial response, duplication of the data, and taking feedback, taking the backup of the data, right? And what is the order in which we should collect the data? All this is to be studied. We will see it, right? Okay. These 2 units will cover today. We'll have 2 presentations. Now, let me go to sharing the presentation. Okay. I'll change the presentation. Change the sharing to presentation now. Okay. Now, so what is cybercrime? I'll close this screen. Not actually. Sorry. Just a minute. I don't see this one so that the screen is completely visible to me. Sure. So what is a cybercrime? When we use this word cybercrime, cyber does not mean internet only. Cybercrime is broadly defined as any unacceptable activity, unethical or illegal activity that is done using any electronic gadget. That is a broad definition of cybercrime. Cyber means not just internet, it includes every electronic gadget. So the erstwhile electronic typewriter is also a fax machine, also is covered under cybercrime. Whatever is electronic, that comes under cybercrime. So any criminal activity which takes place on or over medium of computers or internet or other technology recognized by Information Technology Act. So what is cybercrime is actually defined legally. That's what they said. Forensics expert is no less than a lawyer. So he is all in one now. Now, what does it include? It includes illegal activity where computer or internet is either a tool or a target or both. Tool or a target or both. That means using computer, I commit some crime on some other location. Then the computer is becoming to me a tool. For example, from my computer, I log into a website of a company and deface the company, deface the information on the company website. Then what is that I am doing? That computer of the company is becoming victim to me, target also, and victim to me. And my computer is becoming a tool to me. So there are different roles played by the computer. Most prevalent crime playing the devastating role. You can see that every day, several crimes are related. Particularly in this lockdown period, the number of cyber crimes have increased by more than 80% in the last 3 months. So many crimes. Right? Now, what is the effect of cybercrime? Criminals cause enormous loss. What is this loss? What is the primary purpose of a cybercrime being perpetrated by being done by a criminal? The first point is that he has a motive. What is that motive? The motive ranges from simple fun. I want to see how I can break it. Simple fun up to highest level of committing crimes and terrorist attacks and killing people also, genocide, homicide, all these crimes. But what we say primary motive, most of the times, what we observe is that if you observe the news items also, most of the times cyber crimes are committed for looting money or causing financial loss. So what we say is the primary motive of a cyber crime is financial benefit, financial gain. And that is done while concealing the identity to a great extent. What we say is that great extent. What does it mean? It is not possible to hide the identity completely, but disguising is much easier when computer is involved in a crime. When we involve a computer in a crime, disguising becomes much easier, and catching the criminal is a delayed process. Right? So there is a layer. What we say is layer. In fact, there is another side of website on the internet. Internet can be divided into two parts. First one is what is visible. The second one is what is not visible and where the crimes occur. Highest number of crimes occur there. Almost 80% of the crimes occur in the second part. It is called Tor. I hope you are aware. Tor stands for TOR stands for the onion router. That means like onion layers, several IPs are hidden and the actual crime is going on some in one of the inner layers and it becomes difficult for identifying the criminal. Right? That's also called as dark web, which is very popular these days. Okay. And number of illegal activities committed over the internet by technically skilled criminals is on the rise. There is an increase of India is at fourth stage, a fourth rank as far as victim is concerned. I mean, among countries that are victims, India stands at fourth level. Right. And uncontrollable even it is an uncontrollable having its base in the misuse of growing dependence on computers in modern life. Today we are depending on even for vegetables, groceries, day-to-day items, essentials, luxuries also we are depending. At some point of time, computers were used for only facility purposes or services purposes like a travel reservation, something like that. Today it is not the case. Right? Take the case of Zomato. Even who promise that within 1 hour they will deliver the goods anywhere, items that you have ordered, right? So it has become, net has become an essential part of life. As its penetration increases, our vulnerability is also increase. As our vulnerability increases, our risk also increases. Okay. Now, what are the types of crimes, categories of crimes that can be committed? First one is crime against people. Right? We can study this crimes committed in terms of life lost, property lost, and governments affected, administrations affected. So first one is against people, cyber harassment and stalking, distribution of child pornography, credit card fraud, human trafficking, spoofing, identity theft, and online libel and slander. Like it happens on social networks. These days, you are seeing there is a big debate that is going on how to control the Facebook, how to control the social network. Yes. Governments are blaming each other, our political parties are blaming each other, celebrities are blaming each other. It has become a tool for slander. So these are the where people are affected, we call them crime against people. Individual is affected or a group of people are affected, like hate speech also comes into this category as well. The second one is crime against property. Target the computer and server, distributed DOS attacks, denial of service attacks, hacking, virus transmission, cyber and typo squatting, computer vandalism, copyright infringement. You see that the property is tangible property like real estate, like money, embezzlement of money, right? Creating fake documents of land records, right? And then intruding into privacy of other areas, others domains, and infusing malicious software to contaminate the data belonging to others through virus, right? And then destroying the resources. Not only that, the so-called intangible property today is a tangible property, the knowledge property, which is called as copyright or intellectual property right, protecting them. Once this is in the computer, its copying is much easier. It is said that 90% of the Chinese inventions and discoveries, so-called innovations, are actually copies or copying of the legal data illegally using this technology. And there is a blame that some of the professors in Western countries are actually involved in helping China, or they are hand in glove with China, or China has threatened them, done something, right, into luring them into these services or stealing. In fact, there is a news, unconfirmed news, that the coronavirus actually traveled from Canada to China, stolen by a Chinese student. There is another school of thought that it was actually created in Wuhan, right? Either of these is not confirmed yet. The point here is stealing the property of others. Now, the third one, crime against the government, nation's sovereignty. Now, take the case of Pangong Lake in Ladakh. We claim that that area belongs to India, and China says it is our territory. There is good 70 to 80 kilometers of no man zone between India and Tibet, or Ladakh, sorry, Ladakh, right? And China is indulging in incursions quite frequently. From 2010 to 2014, China has encroached into India about 620 times, much more than that, about 620 times, if I'm not wrong. Now, why is this happening? What is the meaning of this one? Because there is no clear demarcation of border between India and China. China is taking advantage of that. Now, what is happening? Nations' privacy, sovereignty is encroached into. Our territory is encroached into, and we claim that it is our property. China says it is their property. From both sides, it is sovereignty that is questioned. Sometimes what happens, many a times it used to happen, the map of the countries would be defaced. For example, Nepal has shown Kalapani area belonging to India, which was agreed to for last 70 years as their area now. So defacing of the maps, so Kashmir has been shown several times without India by China as well as Pakistan, and as well as sometimes some other countries also. Right? So again, you can see here pirated software. Pirated software is shown under crime against government, whereas software is a copyright component. It should come under property also. So what is the differentiation here? State-owned software domains being replicated without their permission or without following the legal procedure is piracy, and that could be used for damaging the reputation as well. So there are three crimes properly. I mean, there are three categories of crimes. One, damage to individuals and group of people. Second one, damage to property, which includes both tangible and intangible properties also. And then the third one is the crime against the government. Now, what is computer forensics? So, from cyber forensics, we come down to computer forensics now. It is a process of methodically examining computer media for evidence. So, computer forensics is not crime fixation, right? Computer forensics deals with extraction of evidence for support of a case or for confirming whether the crime was committed using the computer or not. And it includes several phases. In fact, number of phases has evolved over a period of time. Earlier, it was thought that there will be 16 phases in computer forensics, but after a lot of research, certain number of phases are fixed here. It can be from 4 to 7. Here we have shown broadly three categories or three phases: collection of information, it's a preservation, analysis, and presentation. Presentation here means documentation. We don't give PPT presentation to the judge in the court of law. We help forensics experts help recording of evidence, extraction of evidence, recreation of crime scene. Take the case of Vikas Dubey, who was killed in an encounter while he being transported from Madhya Pradesh to Rajasthan on the borders of his village. To know exactly what happened, scene was recreated. Police were demonstrating how they did, how it could have happened, where the bullet would have hit Vikas Dubey. Similarly, in the case of Sushant Singh Rajput also, the scene was recreated by the CBI to understand what exactly happened. Why scene is recreated? The scene needs to be recreated to exactly understand what happened and to recreate this evidence that can stand the scrutiny of court of law, which was probably missing. That is to establish the missing link. Some evidence is available, but that some evidence will not be sufficient to prove the crime. So what is done is the crime scene is recreated. So forensics is a postmortem or autopsy kind of activity where the activity starts after the crime has occurred. Please remember this in mind. And also referred to as several names: electronic discovery, computer forensic analysis, electronic evidence discovery, digital discovery. Right. Now, where on the computer can be used? Only in money embezzlement, which is criminal case 420. No, it's not so. There are more innovative ways of using computer for the criminal crime purposes. For example, you take some of the dubious institutions in Amirpet. Only the name of the company changes, but the crime is one and the same. Telling that they will offer courses, job guaranteed courses, job guaranteed training programs, and you have to pay this much, will give you that much, and so on and so forth. These kind of crimes are there. So further, documents can be recreated, fabricated. So the computers today are found their abuse and misuse, unfortunately, in all the types of cases: civil cases, personal abuse too, human resources too. That means recruitment scams and employment procedures, as well as criminal cases, as well as terrorism activities, as well as narcotics. For example, in Sushant Singh Rajput's case, 3 kingpins, 4 kingpins of a drug peddler's racket has been identified. And how do they get this 20 or 30 kilos to distribute in the streets? That is not known yet, right? How it is being done. Okay, next. Now, where all it is? How computer forensics helps in civil cases, right? Or criminal cases. First, we'll say law enforcement. Now, law enforcement means it is not only judiciary. Law enforcement is judiciary plus police put together, right? Generally, this word law enforcement is used to refer to police. Law enforcement is the execution wing of judiciary, which gives verdicts, which does nyaya to others, right? So for law enforcement, how does computer forensics help? First thing, as we said, recovering deleted files. Suppose someone committed a crime and deleted the file. How to recover it? You may be wondering that a hard disk which is burned to 80% can also be subjected to recovery of data, and faithfully 70 to 80% of data can be recovered, right? So mere deleting, shift delete are only tools, right? The data can be recovered even in traces also, at least traces also, right? Using forensic tools. There are very powerful tools, right? Searching unallocated space on the hard drive. Now, what is the significance of this unallocated space in the hard disk? Now you can see that as you are seeing through these points, you should keep in mind that if you want to make a career, or if you decide to make a career in forensics, which is exponentially growing, it is actually growing at the rate much higher than normal developers' jobs or new technologies jobs. Someone is creating data, someone is data is very important to me. As I said in some of the movies, like that Abhimanyu movie, data is business, data is revenue, data is oil. It's much more than that. It's not just oil. It's not, see, crude oil has decided economic development of countries, poor countries, otherwise poor countries like Dubai. But data has been deciding the fate of individual world. That means the impact of data is at the micro level, not at the macro level. So it's not just oil, much beyond that. Data is life, right? Now, what is this? Now, to understand these points, you should be good at hardware, you should be good at software, you should be skilled in programming languages also, you should be skilled in operating system also. Operating system is taking care of storing the data. We have studied in operating system the algorithms, scheduling algorithms, right? Page hit, page miss, page tables, all this. But that responsibility we are understanding through an algorithm, that responsibility you have entrusted to the operating system to do that. So you should know how operating system works. And every operating system is a file system. And file system is the rules and regulations, set of rules and regulations, how data is going to be organized in a particular computer using certain set of patterns, right? So that file system should be known to you. For example, Windows 2000 onwards, they use NTFS file system. File level security is possible. Even block level security is also possible, right? And then Linux uses another kind of file system. Mac uses another kind of file system. Most of the tools available today are Windows-based ones. Now the inquiry becomes much difficult. We have to resort to manual level. That's why penetration testings are done. Right? Now you see that you have to have thorough knowledge of hardware as well as software as well as operating system as well as programming. Right? Now, unallocated space means on the hard disk, suppose the hard disk is new and you have stored only 10% of data, remaining 90% is unused unallocated space. What data can be there? So this unallocated concept is relative. It's not applicable for new hard disks, right? It is applicable for used hard disk and hard disks in use where we go on deleting files and storing information, deleting, undeleting, or recreating, or editing, updating. This allocation takes place. Now, what happens? Say you have created a file, memory is allocated, and you have stored it. You saved it to the hard disk. Next time you edit it. Time of editing, again, data is loaded into memory area, RAM area. From there, the data is collected, again operated on, again saved. Fine. Another application is opened, and the memory which was allocated for the first file that he had opened is being reallocated for the first one. But the second file, right? The second application requires lesser memory than the first one. Say for the first one, memory in the page file or in the RAM, memory allocated was 100 KB. Okay. And this 100 KB you have operated on, saved the data and closed the file. But this data is residing on RAM, right? And the same logic is applicable for hard disk and secondary auxiliary memory storage devices also. When you delete, the data would be there. When you save new file, probably memory is allocated from this block only, but some of the data is left over. Please do remember that. Now you open second application, which for which the memory allocated is 60 KB. Okay, and this you have saved the file, closed it. Now, sometime next you tell that my computer has been compromised. The investigator comes and his job is to extract pertaining data belonging to the 60 KB application that you have used, 100 KB as well. And the remaining 40 KB, when it is unallocated to other applications, is called as unallocated space. Okay. And from there, evidence pertaining to previous application used or previous crime done is extracted. That is called as unallocated space, right? Tracing artifacts and bits of data left behind with the operating system and evaluate the data. Now, what happens is when a computer is switched on, operating system is writing itself onto the RAM. Now, in the pursuit of writing itself onto the RAM, it can also create some damage to the data that probably belongs to the crime committed. So that risk is there. Right? So the operating system makes changes. Those changes will also be very essential. For example, you have tried to log into some other's computer. You don't know the password. You have tried it, and your attempt will be created in the log file. Log files are written by the operating system. So the changes are made to the log files by the operating system, and those changes will be left behind with the operating system, which has changed it. Right? Processing hidden files. Right? Now, files can be archived, hidden, or made read-only, and all this. Opening these diets is also an activity that can be taken up by in the forensics. Processing hidden files, files that are not visible or accessible to other users that contain past usage information. See, it is a you create a file. In Word, you can provide a password for a file at the application level for a file data that you have created. So and then save it, password protect it again. The changes you have made are not reflected in areas where, I mean, it is not possible to see directly. So encryption is there, and how to open those encrypted files is another aspect. Right? Running a string search for email when no email client is obvious. Who has sent a mail? Where it has gone? Where you have got a string of text. I mean, you have got a text which purportedly belongs to some crime committed. From which mail it has gone, you are not sure. Then what you do is you give for search this text. For example, I want to see what mail is sent by you. I'll type your name and all the mails, not only in the address portion, in the content portion also, wherever this word is available, all those are files are listed. This is a good. Now, second application. What is the application of computer forensics in human resources? Evidence in many types, right? First one, suppose an employee complains that I am being stalked, I am being harassed, I am getting these kind of mails, and objectionable content is being shared with me. Since computer is being used by that person, probably, right, or some electronic gadget, forensics will help establish the crime, extract the evidence. I have sent a mail to someone, and that someone complains that I have harassed that woman, lady, but I have deleted from my file. So how it is to be traced? The evidence from that, the evidence available on the woman's computer is to be corroborated, testified that it originated from my computer only. But in my computer I have deleted. So how to establish the crime? It is like two wires. For the electronic flow, two wires are required, up path and return path. Similarly, for establishing crime, point of origin, point of victimization, both are required. Both at both the points it is to be established. That lady has given complaint. That's all. It is to be established that the message came from me only and my computer only, and then I have to be fixed that only I sent it. So there are multi levels. Still, things are being solved very nicely, right? And allegations of discrimination, say HR policies, skewed HR policies. Someone writes a message, I didn't get increment as much as other fellow got, right? With the review systems. And then again, mails or communication done using electronic form, it is possible to investigate wrongful termination claims, pink slips being given without following the rules. Then here also, suppose someone is sent email from tomorrow onwards, you need not come to the office. Now an electronic communication is there. Maybe it's a prank. That also is to be proved, right? So that's where forensics comes into picture. Email systems. Just now we saw an example, right? And then network servers. A data that is originated from a client, a copy of it is always available in the server. And the more complicated problem is that in a networked environment, I can log into a computer, but I do not commit any crime from the using that computer. I commit crimes on other computer through this computer. Right? This is what layers, right? And individual employee computer. Suppose I am sitting, I'm wasting my time, and I am not performing very well. Then my employer gives me termination letter, says, boss, you are not working, you are not contributing to the efficiency or performance or growth of the organization, you are terminated from your services. Then you challenge me that I have done every work, I have not done anything wrong. And the boss says, boss, you have performed share transactions on my computer during office hours. Now what is happening? Employee is using the computer of the office for his personal work during office hours. It's not sufficient if the employer gives his complaint, lodges his complaint, it has to be proved as well. The employee can tell, I am being harassed because the boss does not want me. Now, all these things, whether there is harassment or not, victimization is there or not, and employee has misused the resources or not, all this will be possible to be attacked and evidence created in computer science. Now, what are the services computer forensics gives? There's a good question, important question. Enumerate all the or explain the services provided by computer forensics. The first one is data seizure. Now, data seizure is the first service. That means on a crime scene, the first thing that is to be done is take control of the data, see that evidence is not lost or damaged or tampered with. So data seizure is the most important. Like you see when an accident occurs, police immediately puts yellow color tape around the crime scene, not letting anyone. A photographer comes and a forensics expert comes. Then Panchanama is done, right? Initial evidence is gathered, and then dead body is handed over to the police to perform post-mortem. After post-mortem, it is given to the relatives. Post-mortem gives one kind of information, that is the cause of death, the time of death, right? And then which injury caused the death if multiple injuries are there. In case of Sushant Singh Rajput, the time of death was not recorded. It's a major lapse. Was it intentional? Was it accidental? If it is accidental, how can a professional be accidental in his approach? If it is intentional, then how can be an employee arrogant in his services? Right? So these need to be answered. Next, data duplication and preservation. That is, when a data is collected, when data is seized, then collection should start. Collection has to be as faithful as possible without any damage to the original data. And the integrity of data collected should not be lost. So integrity verification or integrity assuring tools are used. Integrity of a tool, integrity of your data is ensured by creating CRC or parity or message digests that are created. For smaller data items, parity or CRC is possible, but huge amounts of data, it is message digest that is created. Okay, and then duplicate the data. That means make a copy of it. We'll see duplication techniques also. Preserve the evidence along with the duplicate in a sealed cover. This will be in a safe custody. It is a very rigid. The other day, I happened to go to Central Forensics Labs. I was there talking to assistant director. Actually, he showed me the entire office. The data evidence storage vault is much stronger and thicker than the lockers. Vaults that are provided, that are in the bank where lockers are provided, very heavy. It has its own security mechanism, multi layers of locks as well, right? And then data recovery. That means deleted data. See what is available on the hard disk after a crime is taken, but something might have been deleted, something might have been tampered with, sometimes something might have been hidden, something might have been altered. So recovery of all these kinds of changed or modified or altered or deleted data is another service that is required. Now these are not separate services, they happen actually one after the other. Document searches, searching for documents, searching for contents in the documents, patterns in the documents is another activity. Now, media conversion, for example, one media simple level, let us say media conversion. I have created Word file. I will change the extension .cox .docx or doc to XLS. That means I am renaming the Word file as an Excel file. You will not be able to open it. Seeing this problem, later versions of these applications have become more intelligent. They are made more cleverer than earlier versions. What is the meaning of this one? Suppose I rename a file, Word file, as text file. If I double click on that, probably it would not open for me because the format in which it is created is different. The format in which the application that I am using to open is different. Lock is something, key is something else. Now, what is happening with the latest versions of this Word 7 onwards, right? Even if you have created with some other format, if the native application is Word application, OS is capable of identifying the suitable application for it and open it automatically. It doesn't wait for the application for you. I mean, suitable application to be used by you for doing all this. Second one, media conversion. AVA files being converted into MP3 files, right? And tape drive is being converted into hard disk storable media without loss of generality, without loss of data. And then after doing all this, since you are the one who is creating the evidence for consideration by the court of law to fix whether the crime was done or not, your opinion will also be taken. When a doctor gives a post-mortem report of body, autopsy report or post-mortem report of your body, the doctor would be called to the court to ensure that, to make sure or to ascertain that only the doctor created the report. At that point of time, the doctor would be asked questions for clarity purposes, clarification purposes. The doctor gives expert opinion. Similarly, computer forensic expert is an expert in IT domain. His services are required and he will have to present the case to the satisfaction of faithful creation of evidence for the purposes of justice. Okay, so these are the services. Now, what are the service options available to the forensics to give all these services like data seizure and data recovery, preservation, and then opinions, all this, right? What are the various services that can be given by the expert service options? Standard services, that means 9 to 5 office hours during those office hours. Sometimes services are required on site. For example, evidence extraction. If needed, you will have to go to the site. If it is in the network, if the data is in a network, probably one can log into the network from remote location. But if it is standalone computer, on-site services are very essential, right? Next, emergency services. Sometimes what happens, you are called on an emergency service, right? Then you will have priority services. That means certain, you have already job on hand, some other job has come to you which needs your immediate attention. So prioritization is very essential. Some of the services that are given on weekends also, the kind of activities are different actually. So these are the various options that the experts or forensics professionals exercise. Now, these are not exclusive. Let me tell you, these are not exclusive. Purely the case demands what kind of service can be given, what kind of service is demanded. For example, on-site service. You cannot say, I give only offline services. I'm sitting at home. From home only I will do that. No, it cannot be, right? Similarly, you cannot say, I will give services from 9 to 5 only standards. After 5, I don't work. It is my life. No, your services are required because you are an expert. You are supposed to be more approachable and on demand available to solve the cases. Right? Next, what are the steps taken by the computer forensic specialists in extracting the evidence? Right. First, protect the subject computer system. Now, I'm going into deeper details of activities done by the specialists. What are the first steps of activities that is to be done? This is an important question, right? You can see I have shared with previous with all of you previous question papers also. Please keep those question papers in mind, and the material also I have given. Develop the answers that way only. Don't write full stories, write point wise, bullet wise, right? Okay. Now, the first care that is to be taken is that the computer system should not be disturbed by anyone. Protect the computer system first of all. Take the photograph of the computer. So a cameraman is invariable, or you should have your own camera when you are visiting the site. what are the wires connected, physically observe, right? What are the wires connected, which jacks are connected, is it RJ45 or RS232, or what are the other ones connected? For example, you take mobile phone, as I told you the other day, I was seeing the data backup device developed by Israel that is being used by Central Forensic Labs, that is in Ramantapur, adjacent to TV studio, right? Mobile phones jacks come in different designs. We see only one or two actually. There are so many, so many. And don't be confined to the mobile phone that when it is mobile phone, I'm talking of Samsung or iPhone or Asus or the commercial available. There are scientific satellite mobile phones are also available. Data from them also are to be is to be extracted. So there are different kinds of inlet input jacks. The gadget that I saw has different on left side. So insert the jack answer, it will give you which jack you have to connect it to the which wire, which input jack that you have to connect it to the mobile phone to recover the data or extract the data or take backup. So protection of the data. Discover all files on the subject system. Now, this is very tedious process, very time consuming process. Of course, some tools are there which do faithfully 90 to 90%, 80 to 90% job very well. But obviously it is not the case. 80% success cannot be expected in every case. Recover all of discovered and deleted files. Now, discovery of all files includes existing files as well as deleted files. Recover all the files. Reveal the contents of the hidden files. So what was there in the file? Access the contents of the protected and encrypted files. How do we break the decryption key? I mean, how do we break an encrypted file? We cannot see the content. Most of the times, it is the creator of the file who will help the police or investigator to decrypt it. Otherwise, brute force attack is to be done. You have studied in cryptography brute force attack, right? But brute force attack is illegal today. No country can afford to go for illegal attacks. I mean, brute force attacks to reveal the data. So, what are the other ways? Dictionary are there, diary is there, right? Dictionary attacks are there. Other tools are to be used. Analyze all possibly relevant data found in special areas of this. What are the special areas? We'll come to this area in a while. When we create a data, the same copy of data is available in more than one locations, not only your hard disk. And certain areas are very special areas. They are studied in OS as well as in CO. Print out an overall analysis of subject computer. Provide an opinion about the system layout, how the file. Now, what is system layout here? The file structures discovered, any discovered data and authorship information, who created this data, that is metadata about the data. Any attempts to hide, delete, protect, encrypt the information. And that means manually done certain observable activities that could aid in cracking the case. For example, you take any attempts to hide, delete, protect, or encrypt information. What does it show? Suppose a data is hidden and is found, or deleted is found. That means it is found that data was deleted. First of all, it establishes that the crime was done intentionally. It was not inadvertent. It was data hack. It was not data breach. There is a difference between data breach and data hack. Data hack is intentional, data breach is accidental. There is a vulnerability in the application or data that is created, then that vulnerability is exploited by someone to take your data. That is called as data breach. You are breaching there, seeing the vulnerability. But in case of hacking, you are actually intentionally doing the activity. Okay. And then any attempts to hide, okay, anything else that has been discovered and appears to be relevant to the case. Not all the data is required. See, 10% of the data is actually contributing the evidence, but such 100% data. Provide, the next point is provide expert consultation and testimony. Next, what are the problems of forensic evidence? What are the problems that we encounter in forensic evidence? Now, from here, we are going to second unit actually. For any evidence to be admissible in court of law, acceptable in court of law, there are certain attributes of evidence, and these have to be fulfilled. Let me put it this way: C square A cube. Take the first alphabet, C square A cube, right? Or A square C square A. If the order is to be preserved, there is no order here actually, right? A square C square A. First one, the data has to be authentic. Now, what is this authenticity mean? What does this authenticity mean? The data must have been taken from the parts of the computer that will genuinely establish the crime. Right? They are sourced in most genuine manner. Then we say it is authentic. Right? Please don't use the word dependable, reliable. Each word is different. There are no synonyms or antonyms. Maybe for understanding purposes you can tell, but authenticity is genuinity of the data extracted by using genuine approaches. So the process should be correct, the process should be good, and the outcome should also be good only. That should be aiding to, you should have followed the correct procedures and you should have identified the correct evidence that would establish the or help establishing the crime. That is what is authenticity. Next one, accurate. That means the data should be correct to the possible extent. It should be unchanged. So how do we ensure that the data is correct? By subjecting it to integrity checks. Like I said, Message Digest, right? Very vigorously used algorithm in forensics is Message Digest, right? Convincing to juries. It should be convincing to juries. That means your evidence extraction process as well as evidence collected should be acceptable to the jury as genuine data that is created. For example, you take the movie Rustum. In Rustum, Akshay Khanna shoots Deepak 3 times in sequence, three bullets shot. The lawyer, petitioner's lawyer who defends Deepak's case, Deepak's sister files a case. And the lawyer asks question to Akshay Kumar, who is Navy officer. डिफेंड करने के लिए तीन गोली चलाते हैं क्या? And how does he establish that 3 गोली was required for him? He takes the Navy manual, service manual, training manual, and gives to the jury member, asks the jury member to go to a particular page and start reading from there, where it is written, if the enemy is nearer and there is no way to you, fire in bunches of 3 bullets at a time. Now, what is the authentic activity and accurate information being provided? And he says, firing 3 bullets at a time is my professional training. Unconsciously, I applied that mind. My body is so much trained that I need not think about it. So accuracy and completeness. Completeness refers to what you have taken a meaning out of the data is actually relevant to the case and establishes the crime or no crime status of the case, supports the case. Your interpretations are correct. Your inference is based on scientific foundations. Your approach is really professional. you are not creating any cock and bull stories. Okay, and it should be convincing to juries. Just now we covered. The jury gets convinced of the argument presented by Akshay Kumar in Rustom movie, and not only personally jury members getting convinced, it should be as per jurisprudence as well. It should be according to law as well. It should be fulfilling the legal requirement, personal satisfaction, because the person sitting there is actually guided or directed by the law once again. So not only the jury should be convinced, but jury should also have a basis to take reference. According to this, it can be done. For example, in Mahesh Babu's movie Sainikudu, he runs away facing murder charges, attempted murder charges. He comes to discussion with the court through video conferencing. At that point of time, the judge says, in so and so case, the court had permitted under extraordinary conditions video conferencing. I also permitted to defend your case. So the references will be in medical profession, in legal profession. Most of the cases are fought on the basis of previous precedences, previous case references. Unfortunately, in engineering, it is not there. Right? Hundreds of years of engineering profession has not developed any case studies for constructive development, only for destructive purposes. We have done so many accidents, we have so many disasters, we have not learned anything. Data changes almost. Now, what is another difficulty? What are the difficulties here is data changes almost on a moment by moment basis. Right? In 1 second, the data is changed. 0 becomes 1, 1 becomes 0. Right? And the traces cannot be found very easily because the same memory location is overwritten and invisible and seen only after following due procedures, not should, it is due procedures, right? It is invisible and seen only after following due procedures. What is the meaning of this sentence? Due procedure means if it is a Word document, unless you open it in Word, you will not be able to see the content. So that's what it means. That means you have to use appropriate, you have to have appropriate launching pad also to see what is stored there. This launching pad is a suitable application which can open it. Is there any master application which can develop which can open every document? Impossible. We are not so intelligent yet to develop a master key application for everyone. Unwarranted changes due to data collection procedures. Now the procedures themselves are certain restricted, have certain requirements, and those requirements being fulfilled could result in changes to data. For example, when you want to extract data or when you want to take backup of data, you have to type a command, right? You have to type a command to extract the data backup. Copy, X copy. Now, when you are typing this one, is going to the RAM. In RAM, it is getting written. That means probably evidence was in that location, and you have permanently damaged. So, in order that such things do not happen, keyloggers are used. Both software and hardware keyloggers are there. What they do is that the keys typed by you would not be entering into the operating system, the computer. It will be blocked. Whatever you type will be used for execution purposes, bypassing the memory actually. So it's very important to know. Next, non-neutral processes of opening or printing a file. Frequent changes in technologies is another problem. Like the other day, the assistant director was telling me there is no tool for Linux-based systems. Please develop one with the help of your students. Let them do a project. At least even if a prototype comes, the company should be happy to lap them up and develop a commercial product. Our job becomes easy. Right? So these are the difficulties. So what we have discussed so far is that what is cybercrime, what are the steps involved, and what are the services that are given, sir, options of services that are given by the investigator, forensics expert, and what are the difficulties and what are the attributes of evidence, computer evidence, what are the difficulties in extracting this evidence. What is the approach to gather evidence? There should be well-defined procedures to address various tasks. Anticipation of criticism from credibility and reliability of data. First question that is asked is, how can you ensure that the data collected procedure used by you is correct? It has not damaged the data. So that is the problem here. So first your character is questioned, your mindset is questioned, your intention is questioned, then your data is questioned. But each of the question put on data is to your knowledge and expertise and experience only. Okay. So you have to use established systems that do not question you. Now the problem what happens is that inadvertently, if some data is lost because of you only, then you could be questioned. For example, the medical expert, the doctor who has given Sushant Singh Rajput has not recorded the time of death, has not recorded the scars on the neck, uniform kind of scars. A lot of questions are being raised now. So he is facing the risk of being charged with the tampering of evidence, killing of evidence, professional negligence, right? So you are also subject to that. You are trying to tell that someone is criminal, and if you change the data, maybe out of mistake or intentionally, then you become that criminal. That fellow will not get crime, you will be criminal, right? What happened to Prashant Bhushan? Contempt of court case was filed. He said, I will not apologize. But what did the court tell? Since you are very senior, your credentials are very good, you work for public, we excuse you with 1 rupee penalty. If you don't pay that, you will lose 3 years of credible service. That means you will be debarred from doing any service. Same case with PricewaterhouseCoopers company, PwC, chartered accountancy firm, which investigated Satyam case. For their professional negligence, that organization was debarred from doing auditing works for 3 years. Even today, they have filed a case saying that after 3 years, no case is filed, they are to be permitted. So law is good. Checklist to support them with the possibility of repeat the test if necessary. That means recreation. That means if the evidence is not supposed to be complete or admissible or not convincing, you could be asked to redo the exercise. You should be mentally prepared for that. Checklist to support methodology. What are the approaches you have used, right? They should be scientific, established. You cannot say, I have used that software tool to do this. That software tool must have been approved by the government in that country. Law enforcement approved tools only are to be used. Judiciary permitted tools only are to be used. It's just because of the reason that it's the most popular tool, you use it, the court will not accept it. Anticipation of problems for admissibility. You should be able to visualize in all the directions what are the angles in which this data could be rejected. First point. Anticipate. Now you ask, you can get it out. Why should the judge reject the data first of all? When you have created evidence, you have put so much effort. Why your evidence is to be rejected? The philosophy of law is let 100 criminals go unpunished. Not an innocent shall be punished. So what is in is until guilt is proved, each one is seen as innocent only. Attempts are always made not to punish an innocent unless everything else goes against the premise that he is innocent, the accused is innocent. Right? Everything should go against, then only he is declared as a criminal. Until that time, you are criminal. You are subject to scrutiny. Criminal in the sense, you are subject to scrutiny. You should come up with extraordinarily correct, credible, reliable information system that is acceptable, complete, and admissible in the court of law. Anticipation of problems or admissibility, and anticipate latest modifications to evidence collected. It's also possible. Now, what are the evidence processing procedures? Preserving the evidence is first. Now, when it comes to collection, first step is collection, right? Collection, preservation, documentation. Now, collection, you have to use standard procedures. You have to use key loggers, which do not let the data typed by you the evidence there, right? That is very essential. Then making a faithful copy of it with the permission of court. You are not autonomous or independent to create as many copies as you can. For example, in our examination system, JNT has put a restriction number of copies that need to be taken. There will be an observer from other college, maybe from university. In his presence, controller of examination or exam cell in charge will have to enter how many copies are taken. A faculty cannot be given a copy. Library copy cannot be given only after the examination. It can be collected. Extra copies cannot be taken. Similarly, in evidence creation also, or evidence extraction also, number of copies made. Never investigate on the original. It should be always on the copy. So, how to preserve the evidence? There is a tool called SafeBank. SafeBank. There are three levels of backups that can be taken. The first one is bit by bit. Bit by bit backup is taken. That means faithful replica of the hard disk is done. When the entire hard disk is to be checked and the data should not be lost, high profile cases where a lot of data will be there or national interest is there, then the most recommended is bit by bit copy of it, bit by bit. For example, disk copy at the soft copy software program levels will be able to do exact replica of the original. Similarly, X copy will be able to replicate disk to hard disk. Copy is not a faithful replica, right? The second one is only particular partition can be taken as a backup. Third one, only particular data blocks can be taken as a backup, right? So all these are there. Next one, documentation is to be done. Risk assessment and internal audits. What are the internal audits? Include both automated as well as manual systems that are there. For example, any attempts done by you, fail attempts done by you will be created with a log file that is accepted at evidence because it is happening on a routine basis, right? So that is accepted in the court of law. Otherwise, soft copies are not. Next, file slack. What I said is file slack. Random memory dumps in hidden storage areas, passwords, network logons, email, database entries, word processing documents, all these. Now, word processing documents, if you go to properties of the document, it will give you information about the owner, the date of creation, last modification, how many bytes, how many spaces, all the data. This is called as metadata. Now, one important data is who accessed it last. When was it last modified? Suppose you have created that file, you have not put any password to that word file. I see the word file and I see that some things are not correct there, which are against me. I will modify that letter. You don't know that. And the letter is sent. Later you claim that you have not done anything to the file. You are not the one to modify that file. Then to establish who modified it. Log files are seen. After you have accessed the file, log file will have who else accessed that file after you and all those aspects. Now this data is available not from the Word file, but from the system log file, right? Next, data hiding techniques that are used to extract the trade secrets, other sensitive information. Anadisk is the tool that is used here. E-commerce investigations, net threat analyzer is the tool. E-commerce investigation that is trace the past World Wide Web activity. Text search techniques are there, and fuzzy logic tools. Filter I is a fuzzy logic tool, which is intelligent tool. These are all the tools that are available. Okay. So this is what is about the first unit and part of the second unit. Any doubts so far? Any doubts so far? I'm in the chat box. You can type or you can unmute yourself and ask any doubts. Okay, okay, Lakshmi. Right, Manasa. Do you find it the subject? SafeBack tool? Okay, Mansa. SafeBack tool. SafeBack is a tool which is a shareware. It is not freeware. It takes safe backup. As I said, backup is to be taken from the target computer or computer complained of it, and data is to be taken for evidence extraction from various locations. Okay, I have already shared beta. Yeah, I had put in your groups. Jay Prakash, Durga, it is with you, right? Long back, and along
Yes,
with
sir.
notes also. Yeah.
Hello. Yes, sir.
Harsha, Harsha,
Hello, sir.
Harsha, yeah. I'm able to listen. Listen.
Yes, sir. Hello.
Yeah, I am listening. I am able to listen.
Okay. You called me, sir, regarding notes.
Yeah, if you Harsha, if you do not have, it is with your friends. It is with Vijay sir also. I have shared with the department madam also, HOD madam also, right? One of you can post in your group once again. It will help. And I have given notes also, question-based notes also, previous questions answered also, but the answers are a little bit elaborate. Don't get bogged by that. See the question, right? I'm telling you, see the question for how many marks it is given. 5 marks or 8 marks, 2 marks. Accordingly, change the answer. If it is 2 mark question or 2 mark question, just three to 4 sentences are enough. Just define what it is, describe what it is. That's all. If it is 3 marks,
There's
give an
no
example.
section.
Yeah. Pardon?
Sir, there's no 2 mark section, sir. There's only long answers section for this time.
Yeah. I have made long answers. There are no even short question also. I have made long answer. The first paragraph is for short answer.
Okay.
In all the questions, first paragraph is for short answer, right? That's it. That's it. You will be you have taken so far 7 examinations minimum, right? You are experienced at how to write for JNTU. But my only point is that don't use the technique of filling the pages for JNTU purposes, right? Very specifically, they will see the points. Now, coming to Manasa's doubt, SafeBack is a tool which takes backup of the content that is on the computer which is complained of being compromised. And where is the data? The data will be in the hard disk. The same data, some part of the data will be in RAM also, because data from hard disk is to be loaded onto right. Okay, I'm coming to that point one by one, Manasa, one by one. I am coming to that point. Okay, you have created a file, it is in the hard disk. So evidence can be found there also, but more data will be there. Now link this knowledge of data in the hard disk to operating system knowledge that you have. Page files are created, segmentation is done. That means a part of that page is in RAM now, right? A small part of that is in cache also now. So modifications done will be replicated in cache memory, followed by RAM memory. That means what evidence you find in cache memory, you may not find in RAM because modifications are done in cache. And modifications done in RAM, if you have not updated, then would not be reflected in the hard disk. So evidence can be found anywhere. Okay, you see that it is a union of evidence that is created. Now, what are the three levels of evidence creation, evidence extraction? The first one, not evidence actually, backup. Three levels of backup. Faithful replica of the total contents of hard disk is taken bit by bit. It is called as bit replication or bit copying. That is one level, safe backups. Second one, the data has been complained of. Say you do partition to your hard disk. Normally your vendor, what it does is that it divides into two partitions. First partition, you have all the applications. Second partition, you have data. Say in C, all the applications that you have, all the Oracle applications, internet applications, all the programs you have installed in C drive, and your data is created in D drive. That's how you arrange. You complain that your data is lost. Now, where should be searching done? Is it in the C drive or D drive? Obviously, it is D drive. At that point of time, you are taking backup of not C drive, but only D drive. This is called as logical backup. Only areas where data is likely to be found is to be taken. Further, you see that my Word files are getting corrupted, Excel files are intact. Then what kind of backup you need? Only Word files are to be taken. That is application specific. So these are the three levels. Narrow down your evidence. That means as an investigator, as a forensic investigator, you are deciding what work to do. Is it a donkey work or hard work or smart work? Based on the symptoms expressed by you, I have data problem in Word applications. Then I will take only Word applications only. So narrow down. Or only particular folder. You see that folder is not physically available. It is also a file. It is logical partition, right? So evidence can be taken up to the file level or folder level or partition level or entire hard disk level. Sometimes what happens, I create three partitions, C, D, and E. In C, all applications are there. In D, I create the data. I store my data. In E also I store my data, but I use a tool like Disk Manager and hide the partition itself. That means when you see the directories, when you go to my computer, you will not be able to see E drive. Only C and D will be seen because that is hidden. That hidden partitions can be seen only when I go to specialized tools like Disk Manager, hard disk level manager. Now, taking backup of those kind is also very essential. So what you have to do as an investigator is that you will have to change the modifications of the computer setup, CMOS setup. In CMOS setup, using Disk Manager or any other such tool, you will have to re-enliven or unhide the hidden partition that is given. Now you are making changes there. For making those changes, you should have permission from the court of law and the law enforcement. You are not supposed to. Maybe something is written in such a way that when you try to unpartition it, then entire hard disk is crashed. So these are the keys that you have to take. Three levels of backup, not preservation. Preservation is different, taking copies of it. First one is extraction, right? Three levels of extraction. First one is entire disk to disk. That is bit by bit. Equivalent hard disks are there. If 1000 GB is there, that is 1 terabyte is there, 1 terabyte hard disk is required for that. And that entire hard disk is labeled, sealed, and put in a safe custody. If you want only for particular partition, then you can take it. Only particular type of file or only particular folder. These are the three levels. Of course, these three levels is not mentioned in the notes. Please make note of it, right? Three levels. Three levels of backup. Number one, bit by bit. I am typing in the chat box so that you can note it. Number two, partition level. And number three, specific area or file type or folder, etc. Okay. Methodology is approach that you follow, Rushali. Methodology is the approach you follow for extracting the evidence. There are stipulated procedures. You cannot be haphazard in your approach. There is a methodical approach. As I said, the first step is cordoning off the area where the evidence is available. That means if a complaint is received by you, that evidence is to be taken from the computer. You should ensure that nobody goes towards that computer, even in your absence also. First one. Second one, make the connections, make the note of connections, what are given, what are the wires and jacks that are going into the computer, coming out of the computer also, including monitor jacks. Then next step is labeling them as label one, yellow color, red color, green color, like that. See how Wi-Fi, some kind of jack is coming. What is that jack? Normally at home we get RJ45 jack. Even in college also we say it is called as RJ45. But in offices where routers are there, they are not RJ45s. They could be 16-pin connectors, 8-pin connectors, or 32-pin connectors. Right? So what is the type of it? There are standards RS484, RS232, RS232C, right? Centronic port. These are called ports, right? Where we can then making note of all that. A diary is a must. So the approach broadly put together is called as, so in syllabus copy, incident response methodology is mentioned. Can you please explain? That's what, right? Incident response. An incident has occurred. How do you respond to that? What is your response? First of all, what is your role? Create an evidence, not create, extract an evidence, create a report, submit to the court of law for accepting the purposes. There is the approach, right? So how do you respond to that? First of all, you should go to the, you should ensure that that area is not tampered with. Not only you, along with you, there will be, you see, as an investigator, computer investigator, you go to the crime scene and extract the evidence. Your fingerprints will be on the keyboard also. Someone else has done it, your fingerprints will be there. So what we say, computer evidence is not direct evidence. Computer evidence has restrictions on its admissibility. We studied a point called admissibility, right? Admissibility means court should be accepting it. But the, for its admissibility, the data falls into two categories. Data in the computer, which is created by the computer as a routine process. For example, log reports, financial reports, monthly reports. If the software is doing on its own, then they are admissible in the court of law. It should not be very specifically done for that purpose. That means there is no fabrication, there is no integrity related problem. Fabrication particularly. If you create a report and say that this is created with the computer specifically for this purpose only, then you are at defeat. Now, when you are creating such evidence, that is called as routine admissible evidence, automated evidence. There is another kind of evidence which is admissible, the report created by you. To create that report, you have to access that computer. When you are accessing, there could be chances that your biological printouts are there, biological traceouts are there. Now, The difficulty with the computer forensics is that computer evidence is that extracting evidence is easy and creating report is easy, but establishing or mapping the crime to the criminal is almost impossible. That should happen only with physical evidence only. That means if I have, am I clear? Am I clear? Right? I'll repeat this point. Evidence extraction is easier, but mapping or linking the crime to the criminal is not that easy. That's why we say computer evidence is supportive evidence or which needs further clarification or further evidence creation or further evidence mapping. That means it is called as legally the word you use corroborative. Computer evidence is corroborative evidence. Okay. That means there should be another evidence which can establish, yes, this is the evidence, right? That means if you have created a report, then you go to the court and say, yes, sir, I have created this evidence. That is corroboration. Similarly, it needs to be established way. Suppose you say that Desai has done this crime, Desai's fingerprints and footprints should be there, biological printout should be there, then they can be mapped. Not only that, you should be able to prove that only I used that computer at that point of time. So the time of crime plays very critical role. Time of crime and who used that at that point of time play a very critical role. Mapping these two is not that easy. That's where cases get defeated. That's why computer forensic is really intellectually challenging job. Okay, that's what is methodology, right? Okay, any other doubts? Right, Ravali? Very nice. What is the time? Shall we quickly go to the another presentation? Now, what we cover is actually admissible evidence, forensic duplication tools we have covered, right? The duplication process of duplication, a small presentation will take and conclude the class. That completes 2 units preparation for you, right? The second PPT I'll share with you. Now I am going to take another PPT. Just give me a little bit of time. Now this is a PPT I have taken from prepared by Professor E.D. Crowley for his study purposes, for his teaching purposes, that I am using here, right? Okay. You can see here, it is for duplication purposes. Now, there was a doubt asked, what is incident response, right? How to respond? There are strategies, forensic duplicates to be taken and evidence to be taken. And what are the rules according to? We said a methodology. Methodology always says, I said there are a set of rules, cordoning and other things, right? We'll see that. And this is in context of rules that are made for use this PPT. I didn't have time to modify all this. And you don't require Indian rules as well. You are not into cyber security. You just know that there will be Information Technology Act 2000 instead of Federal Rules of Evidence. Information Technology Act of 2000 will decide or will direct us to do, right? What is the response strategy? A decision of when to perform a forensic duplication is based in part on existing response strategy for the instant situation. Now, when to take? See, మనకు తెలుగులో చెప్తారు గుడ్డెద్దు చెల్లగొట్టు కంప్లైంట్ రాగానే బ్యాకప్ తీసుకుంటాను కంప్లైంట్ రాగానే వెళ్ళిపోతానని సరే కాదు. There should be, if the event is live, you are catching live, there is no point in going for backup and other things, right? How do you do that? Does the event need your immediate or at a later time? For example, let me say this way, but what is the timing of your response to this? How to respond in that? Suppose a person has stolen money from someone's account using computer, logging into the computer, right? The event is passed. At that point of time, there is there is logic behind taking backup of data for investigation purposes, because the first point is that they have to recreate this scene. But an extension or an addition event to that is that the chances that that fellow, that thief, could break someone else's security is high again, right? It should happen in that bank only. Now we want to catch that fellow live. At that point of time, the response has to be a delayed. अच्छा ये हो गया, रहने दो, बाद में देखते हैं और response करते हैं. And when it is happening, and the route through which it is happening is to be taken. There was a movie, I don't know, it's a Tamil name. In Hindi, Vardi Ka Dam అనేసి ఒక మూవీ వచ్చింది. తమిళ యాక్టర్ రవి హీరోగా వచ్చింది, జయం రవి హీరోగా వచ్చింది. ఇన్స్పెక్టర్ ఉంటాడు, ఒక రేప్ కేసు అవుతుంది, రేప్ అండ్ మర్డర్ కేసు అవుతుంది, టార్చర్ కేసు అవుతుంది. వాడు ఆ పిల్లల్ని చంపించడానికి, అంటే ఈ క్రైమ్ చేసిన వాళ్ళని తండ్రులతోనే చంపిస్తానని మా కంకణం కట్టుకుంటాడు. సే తమిళ్ మూవీ యాక్చువల్లీ. ఒక గేమ్ డెవలప్ చేసి ఎంతమంది హిట్ రేట్ కొడుతుంటారో ఆ కొడుకు అక్కడ ఆక్సిజన్ లెవెల్ తగ్గిపోతూ ఉంటుంది. హ్యాకర్స్ ని తీసుకొస్తారు పోలీస్ వాళ్ళు, వీడి ఐపీ అడ్రస్ తీసుకోవాలనేసి. వీడంత తెలివి రాసి ఉంటారు అంటే వీళ్ళ కంప్యూటర్ కూడా హ్యాక్ అయిపోతుంది అన్నమాట. ఫాస్ట్ చేంజింగ్. అలాగే వెనస్డే అనేసి హిందీలో మూవీ వచ్చింది, తెలుగులో వెంకటేష్ కమలాసన్ క్యారెక్టర్ కమలాసన్ తీశాడు మూవీ. ఒక టెర్రరిస్ట్, 4 టెర్రరిస్టులను చంపడం, ఒక కుప్పతొట్టు దగ్గర ఒక అపార్ట్మెంట్ మీద కూర్చుని వాడు ఐపీ హైజాకింగ్ చేసేస్తుంటాడు కంటిన్యూస్ గా. దీస్ ఆర్ వెరీ టిపికల్ సైంటిఫిక్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్స్ ఆఫ్. తర్వాత అభిమన్యు ఒక మూవీ, how one single entity called Aadhaar card can be used for stealing data. That's what I say. Data is not just oil, data is life. Now, అట్లాంటి చోట్ల పట్టుకోవాలంటే రెస్పాన్స్ అనేది స్టాగర్డ్ మేనర్ లో ఉండాలి. దట్ మీన్స్ you have to have a track of events covered. So it's a decision that you have to make, a decision of when to perform forensic duplication based in part on existing response strategy for the instant situation. అప్పటికప్పుడు చేసేదా, బ్యాక్గ్రౌండ్ తో చేసేదా అనేది యూ హ్యావ్ టు డిసైడ్. ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్, మెనీ ఆర్గనైజేషన్స్ have the policy creating forensic hard disk duplicates of all PCs. That means complete duplication. See, organization, what is the best policy for data privacy? There is no 100% security. You are safe only as long as the other fellow thinks it is waste of attacking you, or it is costly affair for him. That means security is a relative measure of cost involved to provide the security versus the cost involved to break the security. And if someone breaks it, then there is no way you can recover that data. The only way is what was the best data that you had previous time. That's why power backup administrators are one of the category is power backups. Not what they do is very frequently they take backup of every data. Some companies have policies of this. Mirror imaging is there. Now, forensic duplicate says now if there is a duplicate data, is it admissible in the court of law? As I said, existing legal standards define minimum criteria for an item to be admitted into evidence. Collection process usually under scrutiny as well as need. That means, is this evidence needed to establish the crime? Admissibility is very essential, right? And then the rules also say there are, as I said, the rules stipulate what evidence can be admitted. Duplicate evidence, original evidence. Normally, courts say that original has to be there. But if I create an evidence typed in computer, and take a word printout of it and submit in the court of law, is this original evidence or duplicate evidence? This is duplicate evidence only, right? This is duplicate evidence only, but original is in computer. Now, how is it established? How is it established? I should own it up. I should tell the court of law, I have created this file. Then computer will be checked. Who is the last user of this file? Metadata will be created. Log file will be created. Did I log into that computer at that point of time? So as an investigator, I should have all this evidence also. That's why evidence rules are very tough. Second, there is an exception to that. As I said, if log files are being created, nobody specially creates log file, so they are accepted at court of law. They are taken as original only. Duplicate is also taken as original only because they are backups taken from system logs. Similarly, the monthly finances, salaries paid bills created in the computer, invoices, inventory, all these are accepted as a court of law, right? I'm straight away answering what is this methodology question asked by Rabli. Okay. Next, what is a duplicate? A file contains every bit of, as I said, right? There are three levels of bit stream format, raw bits, that is bit by bit copy is called as raw bit stream. Now, what are the tools that are available? DD. DD is a tool that is available to take duplicates. FTK is a shareware. It is to be available. It is available in trial usage basis. Access data is another one, right? All these are tools and Department of Defense. Now, none of these tools are freely available to us. They are proprietary tools. We should not make any changes to them. Only we should take the data available from them, right? Now, what is admissible in the court of law? A file that contains every bit of information taken from the source, but may be stored in a altered form, right? That means data is in raw bit format, but information is extracted from in the presentable manner. And if that is done using standard tools like SafeBase, SafeBack, NCase, FTK, what is a standard tool? The law enforcement should have procured it. That means the government, the police department should have procured it, and it should have been an enlisted software in the court of law. Judiciary should accept it. Then only these outputs are taken from other things is not acceptable. You cannot scribble something and say, I have created this. No. And restored image, suppose someone has deleted the partition and you have restored it. That restoration, if it is done with very good, reliable and acceptable programs, then it is acceptable. Otherwise, it is not. And mismatched geometries. What is the meaning of geometries here? Suppose the number of sectors in the deleted file is different from number of sectors in the copied file, then it is not acceptable. It has to be faithful replica. Please remember, faithful replica of the original. If the original had 3 sectors allotted, then that copy also should have 3 sectors only. It should not be modified geometrically. Similarly, if it is a 600 GB hard disk, and you take copy on 1 terabyte hard disk, it may not be acceptable if the design of 1 terabyte is different from design parameters of another geometry, what we call is geometry. Geometry means number of sectors, number of tracks, and bits per sector, right? Block size. These three put together will give the size. It has to be identical, or it has to be geometrically synchronous. Otherwise, if that synchronous is lost, say Seagate hard disk is there, and WDD Winchester manufacturer is there, and you take backup of Seagate hard disk or Winchester design, the designs are different. It is not acceptable. Mismatch of geometry. You will have to establish that you have done. Your approach is very excellent, right? Now, what is if the size of the hard disk is higher, then it is better to go for bit by bit. That's what this pointer has to tell. Mirror images we already discussed about it. Okay, so this is what. What are the tools requirement? What are the requirements of the tools? It should create forensic duplicate or mirror image of the which is almost identical to original, and it should be able to hand read errors in a robust and graceful manner. Suppose the hard disk you are trying to take backup or making a duplicate is having physical damages. How do physical damages come on the hard disk? See, the tracks are there, data is stored on both sides of the hard disk plates except the top one and bottom one, and while the hard disk heads are moving to and fro, a small dust particle between these two can scratch the surface of the hard disk, then physical damage has occurred. Further, because of the continuous movement, aging, what is called as aging of the hard disk, the coating, iron oxide coating given on the aluminum pattern could be lost over a period of time due to continuous read write process. Then physical damage takes place. So, in such cases, what is to be done is this should be rugged enough to extract the data to the possible maximum possible extent, right? Not make any changes to the source medium, and it should be subjected to, it should be amenable to review by others as well. Others here include your team members, your peers, other colleagues, your boss, police, court of laws, right? So this is what are the legal issues? Again, as I said, admissibility, reliability, readability, and credibility of evidence is very essential. You should have followed only credible procedures. You should have followed only, you should have used only reliable enlisted tools, then only it is possible. So this is how we do that. So what we have covered, let me quickly synopsize. We have covered about, started with cyber crime, came down to computer crime. We talked about the type of crimes and where are the applicable, where are applicable civil cases, employment, HR cases, and criminal cases as well. And then we talked about the computer specialist, what is his role played, and what are the services options that are given, and what are the approaches to next data recovery, right? And what is data duplication, what is imaging, and what are the 3 levels of data backup to be taken or data backup to be taken. This is what in the second unit. When next time when we meet in the next session, when we meet, we can go R. If you think I need not teach once again, there are videos that I have shared with you, which I had covered 3, 4, 5 units sometime back about 2 months ago. Those videos are with you only. Go through those videos, that will be very good, right? Mind map diagram is also given. Okay, now any more doubts? I'll come to the chat box once again. Fine. If you do not have any doubts, we'll take leave, right? I have shared with you some MCQs. I have shared with you questions, previous questions. I have shared long answers with you. I have shared videos with you, right? Make judicious use of them and perform well. It's going to be 2 hours exam, if I am not wrong. And it will be descriptive only, right? Don't use your time to write long answers unnecessarily. Be cryptic in your approach, be point wise, you will score much better, right? There is very easy scope for spending more time on one question because you have to write descriptive. This question is descriptive, right? This topic is descriptive. Use your energy much better. Okay, better? Each one of you. Good luck to all of you. All the best. God bless you all. And
Thank
you
you,
have
sir.
any doubts at any point of some studying? I'm available in WhatsApp. Put a question to me. I'll be very glad to clarify your doubts. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mansa. Thank you, Kirti. Thank you, Vaishnavi. Right, Swati, Ravali, Manjula, each one of you. Okay, Jai, Chinmay, SK, Surya Kiran. I interpret that way. His inference is very bad if it is not Surya Kiran. Okay, Nikita, bye all of you. Thank you. Good luck to your exam.